Go AI on the go. We're here at batch 3, the third meeting of the AI Distilling Co. And would you mind telling us who you are?
Sure, I'm Chris Seidt. I'm the Chief Information Officer for Louisville Metro Government.
And you were actually the featured speaker for the first AI Distilling Company meeting.
Yeah, it was a great first meeting. We had that over at the Whiskey Thief and really enjoyed getting to share kind of my vision and the mayor's vision for what Louisville can do with AI moving forward, and really excited to be working on implementing that plan now.
Can you give us some detail about what that involves?
Yeah, so obviously we're a government, so we have to make sure that we're doing things the right way and that we're accountable to the constituents of Louisville, and that we're doing the things that they would want us to be focused on as a government. So we've really spent a lot of time doing our homework around policy, getting good policies in place so that our employees understand what's expected of them when they're using AI technologies, and really thinking about how we can leverage that technology to solve problems that the city government has today. So we spent a lot of time meeting with city departments and trying to understand what it is that was causing us pain as a city in terms of the services that we deliver or what our constituents expect us to deliver to them, and where we could get better. And we think that AI can be a great complementary tool to that.
And what are some of the benefits that you've been seeing so far?
I think the early part for us was just kind of experimenting with some AI platforms and figuring out what was going to work and what wasn't, and kind of what our employees were going to gravitate to as you think about all the different offerings that are out there today. You've got the ChatGPTs and the co-pilots, and you've got the Groks, and you've got Perplexity, right? And so we had to kind of figure out what products were going to be useful for our workforce, and some of them are going to be LLMs like that, and some of them are going to be more kind of mission specific type AI tools that are either built into the products that we already use today, or that we can use in addition to those existing platforms to try to make ourselves a little bit more effective and efficient as a government. What
are some of the challenges with AI integrations that you've had so far?
Well, obviously hallucinations are a big deal for us in terms of, we've got to get it right. We as a government can't have the wrong answer put out there, right? So we really have to focus on, what is it that we can do to help ensure and minimize that we don't have hallucinations in the results that we put out there. We're really focused right now as a government on the human in the loop element of this, and not trying to just have autonomous actions taken on behalf of the city by an AI platform. So really teaching our employees how to use AI tools, how to discern what's given from those AI tools, and to ensure that what's given from those tools is the actual result that we were looking for. So it's not about replacing city employees, it's about making them actually upskilled in the AI technology so that they understand when they see the right answer and the wrong answer, and that they can quickly correct that if they need to, so that we're not putting our residents in a position where they're getting bad information put out there by an AI platform.
So you go in with certain goals in mind, but have there been any surprises with the AI integration? Like, I didn't expect it to be used this way, but now it's being used this way and now it's working.
Yeah, so we have probably a couple of hundred employees at this point that have access to the AI tools that we've deployed already. We still haven't gone full scale with it across the workforce. I think that the most interesting part for me is just the uptick in adoption. We've really seen that grow. I was just sharing last week that when we started handing out ChatGPT licenses in the spring, we were seeing 400, 500, 600 kind of prompts put into an AI platform over that time period, and we had a smaller user base at that point. And just this last week, I was pulling the report for September, and we saw about 20,000 prompts going into our AI platform. So we're seeing a huge uptick without having to do a whole lot of promotion of the platform with the workforce that has that already. So the mayor had really pushed, he said, I want to see our workforce using AI tools every day. And I thought the hardest part of that was going to be like just getting people to be aware of them and to use it every day. But after we've actually given people the licenses, we're seeing them to jump into it and using it very, very frequently.
Are there any specific AI uses for you personally in your own role that you've been enjoying recently?
ChatGPT Enterprise is probably the one that I go to the most, and I use it a lot just when I'm trying to ideate a little bit and to try to come up with ways to word things or to land the message. And we just heard in this last session here, how they can actually look at, their target audience and how they can use AI tools to help identify ways to more effectively communicate with people. And I think from my perspective, that's been very helpful for me because, I might approach things very directly. And a lot of people maybe don't deal with direct very well. And so just figuring out how to couch that message and deliver that in a way that is, more impactful, better absorbed by them, maybe better acceptance rate. As a decision maker in the city government, some of the decisions that you make aren't always the most popular. So how do you get that message across to people in a way that delivers the message, but maybe in a way that's a little bit softer and better accepting of the outcomes?
And everyone who's using AI, no matter where they are in an organization, they need to figure out first how it works. Have there been any learning curves for you in your own personal use of AI? Were you any insight or wisdom that you would like to share? For
sure. I think when I started using AI tools, I thought, well, this thing might be able to solve everything, right? And then just experimenting with it. One of the things we're really hoping that AI can eventually get good at is focusing on helping us with document redactions. We, as a government, have to provide a lot of records to folks, but there's things that were in those records that we don't necessarily want to give out to anybody, right? So if you have a car accident report, your driver's license number might be on there and your address might be on there. And while we might be obligated to release parts of that accident report to a third party, we don't want to give all that information out. So we're really hoping to find AI tools that can go in and pick that information out, redact it automatically, provide that output of what it redacted. And then, as we were kind of looking at that at scale, we've got a ton of things that get redacted that aren't a police report, large spreadsheets that contain information. And trying to get AI to redact that accurately proved to be a little bit more complicated than I think the AI tools are ready for today. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't see that advance happen here in the next 6 to 12 months. I fully expect that we might, but we did find that there were limitations with the AI platforms in terms of how much volume they could do at one given time. And then the accuracy level certainly got harder for me as a human in the loop to track what redactions were made and were they the right ones. And so we're going to have to balance that out as we go, because if you're dealing with 16,000 records in an Excel spreadsheet, that's really hard to go through line by line as a human anyway, but then to have an AI go through and redact for you and then make sure that it did the right thing, that's going to be really challenging for us.
So from everywhere from the local to the federal level, you're seeing government adoption of AI all across the United States and all across the world, really. In what ways do you foresee Louisville being a leader in AI adoption?
Yeah, so I think we kind of set the trend early on. We were one of the first communities in the country to post for a chief AI officer. We're really close to making our hire on that, so I'm really excited to be able to introduce that person here in the next couple of weeks. I think the other piece of this is we leaned into the AI in terms of making it a funding priority. So the mayor made sure to propose that in the current fiscal year budget. Our city council was really excited to hear that we were leaning forward to trying to find better ways to deliver city services, leaning on AI technologies so that we could hopefully scale up the level of service that we're able to provide for our residents. So I think from a government perspective, I think we're doing the right things and we're out. I wouldn't say we're at the very front of the pack, but I'd certainly put us up there in the leaders quadrant in terms of cities that have adopted and are trying to roll it out for the good of the community. I'll be heading to the GovAI Coalition Summit next week. We'll be talking there about best practices across government. So this is a gathering of all the larger cities and counties and smaller communities as well, where we can just share best practices and learn from one another. We can figure out what's working in other communities, and hopefully I can bring some of that back and we can start to roll some of that out here as well.
Okay. I'll leave you with one more question. What innovative uses for AI would you like to see in government as AI continues to progress? Like any wish list?
Oh yeah, for sure. So for us, we focused on a few priority areas. Certainly we want to try to use AI to solve for public safety, right? We want to enhance the safety of the community in ways that we think are possible today. But I also heard last week from residents, when we had an opportunity to meet with some members of the public about our AI plans, they really want us to figure out the transportation piece. And I think that's an opportunity for us because there are 1,020 traffic signals in Louisville Metro today. And the thing that we hear a lot, one of the bigger complaints that I think our elected officials get as city council members and the mayor's office and our public works department is, why does it take so long to get from one end of town to the other, right? And I think if we can figure out how to use AI, one, to analyze our traffic patterns, but two, to maybe make real-time decisions around what we should be doing around traffic light timing, to adapt to those times of days, and when maybe there's an accident on the expressway and we need to adapt on the fly when people are trying to get around that. I think that's the real opportunity. It's not going to get there overnight. There's a lot of, I think, infrastructure investment that we have to make as a city government to really see that happen, but I'm really excited to kind of explore that over the next couple of years.
Okay, Chris, thanks for coming on Go AI, and hope you have more success with AI in your government role.
Thanks, I appreciate the invite.